Some legends, they're whispered from one generation to the next. Others are carved in stone for all time. But this is a story that was forged in a living metal, an ore that was said to breathe, to move, and to give birth to one of the most miraculous amulets in all of history. Just think about that for a second. What happens when metal is alive? It's a question that sounds like it's pulled straight out of a fantasy epic, right? But it is the absolute heart of the legend we're exploring today, a story where the line between a simple mineral and a living being just completely dissolves. And this is the Phra Pidta Re Bang Phai. Now, the term Phra Pidta itself refers to that image of a monk covering his eyes. It's a powerful symbol of turning away from all the distractions of the world to find true inner peace. But this amulet, well, it's something else entirely. It's a vessel of almost unbelievable power, born from a spiritual quest that resulted in this very artifact. You see, at the center of any great legend, there's always a hero. And at the heart of this one is a master, whose spiritual vision could see things far beyond what ordinary eyes could perceive. This is the story of the great Luang Pu Chan of Wat Moli. Luang Pu Chan was the third abbot of Wat Moli, and he was a man renowned not only for his deep spiritual practice, but for his incredible mastery of ancient alchemy. He wasn't just looking for some strong metal to forge an amulet. No, his quest was for a holy element, a sacred medium that could truly channel profound divine protective energy. And to really feel the weight of this story, we have to place it in its time. Wat Moli was established way back in the early 19th century. By the mid-1800s, Luang Pu Chan was its spiritual guide, and it was right here, around the year 1882, that his profound quest would finally culminate in the forging of these legendary amulets. But this was no simple mining trip. Luang Pu Chan was hunting for something that, get this, did not want to be found. He was seeking a sentient ore, a metal with a will of its own, hidden somewhere deep within the canals of old Siam. Now, here's what's so incredible about how he found it. There was no map, no geological survey. Luang Pu Chan entered a state of incredibly deep meditative insight, and through his spiritual vision alone, he perceived the location of this sacred living ore. And this is where the legend takes a truly fantastic turn. When they finally arrived at the spot, the master declared that it was too late. The living ore had sensed their approach and had fled, leaving behind only what he called Phai Ore, which literally means the ore's droppings. They had found its trail, but the creature itself, the living metal, was gone. But for a master alchemist like Luang Pu Chan, this wasn't a failure. It was an opportunity. He had his disciples gather these sacred remnants, the Phai Ore, and he began a kind of mystical cultivation. He placed them in large water jars and began to feed them with what's called nam khao pla, basically fish-scented water, while empowering them with sacred chants, or kata. And miraculously, the ore began to grow and multiply, as if it were a living thing being nurtured back to health. Once enough of this living ore had been cultivated, the time finally came for this sacred act of creation itself. This was the moment where living earth would be forged into an eternal symbol of faith and protection. And the process, well, it was painstaking and deeply personal. Disciples would have to hand sculpt every single amulet out of wax. Then they would carefully apply the secret yant, the magical markings, which were rolled into these fine lines, almost like noodles. And because of this incredibly hands-on method, no two amulets are ever perfectly identical. Each one carries its own unique spirit. So you have to be asking, how can you tell if one is authentic? The answer is literally written in the metal itself. True Bang Phai has a unique physical characteristic called cyan. It's these fine, fibrous lines that run all through it, almost like the grain in a piece of wood. It's the physical proof of its miraculous living origin. And there's this piece of wisdom that's been passed down by collectors for over 100 years. It's a simple rule, but it holds a deep, deep truth. The cyan is the fingerprint of the living ore. It's an unmistakable mark of authenticity that simply cannot be faked. It's the story of the metal written right on its own surface. Now, as you can imagine, an object forged in such an extraordinary way is bound to be surrounded by legends. And the stories of the Phra Pidta Bang's power, they are as potent and as awe-inspiring as the story of its creation.
The amulet's power was first truly tested in the fires of war. During a conflict with France in 1893, soldiers from Nonthaburi who wore the amulet were said to be miraculously protected, completely invulnerable to hails of enemy gunfire. This power has a name. It's called Kang Krapanchatri, a kind of spiritual invincibility.
After that, the legends just multiplied with breathtaking speed. Fighting cocks that were anointed with oil the amulet had soaked in became unbeatable. The belief grew so strong that people felt they didn't even need to carry the amulet itself. Just a single drop of its consecrated oil on their head was believed to be a sufficient shield against any and all harm. And then there is the ultimate instruction, a testament to the absolute, unshakable faith in its power. Luang Pu Chan himself is said to have told his disciples that if they were ever in mortal peril, hopelessly outnumbered with no way out, they were to swallow the amulet. It would grant them escape, and then, miraculously, it would return to them in their sleep. More than a century has passed since those days, yet the reverence for this living iron, it hasn't faded. In fact, it's only grown. Its legacy today is more powerful than ever before. Today, this amulet holds a hallowed place among all sacred objects. It is officially recognized as one of the Binja Fakhi, that's the top 5 most revered metal Phra Pidta amulets in existence. To be in this elite group, it's the highest honor imaginable. It's like being a living national treasure.
And this spiritual reverence, it absolutely translates into its tangible value. To acquire an authentic Phra Pidta Bang Phai today can cost lakh lon, which means millions of baht. But you have to understand, that price isn't just for a piece of metal. It's for a piece of history, a vessel of unwavering faith in a true artifact of a miracle. If you want to understand the peak of its popularity, just consider this story. In the mid-20th century, the faith in this amulet was so immense, so powerful, that seasoned collectors would refuse to trade one even for the Samdet Wat Rakong, which is arguably the most famous and sought-after amulet of all time. That's the depth of belief this living metal inspires. Which brings us to a final thought. As we look back on this absolutely incredible story of a spiritual master, a living ore, and miraculous power, we really have to ask ourselves, what is the true miracle here? Is it the sentient metal that could grow and hide itself from the world? Or is the real miracle the unshakable faith that it has inspired in the hearts of people for over a century? A faith so powerful it turns a simple story into a sacred chronicle, and a piece of iron into a timeless, immortal legend.